Now, you know, it wouldn't be a live stream if we didn't start off with trying to fix everything last minute. That's probably the name of the game now. We're going to get better, right? Right, we're going to get better. It's my fault for trying to over-engineer things, to the last minute. And would you believe this is usually time I try to just, hey, rest up a bit, rest your mind a little bit, right? Before you set everything up and then you think last minute, oh, damn, I want to add that. I want to add this. And then you end up saying, you know what, you got to go back to the tried and true. Make sure we have small things working, like the mic. Right? But yeah, most of you guys know last minute when you're trying to get everything together, that's when everything decides we're not going to work the way we intended to work. And then we do the last minute scramble and dash to get everything together. But we're here, right? We're here. That was always going to be a given. We're going to be here again, Monday Mondays. And as usual, I want to thank you guys for having some phenomenal conversations, on here and off yesterday, Subscriber Sundays. I think that was one of the best Sundays we had, right? So shout out to a lot of you guys. We did not get a lot of new subscribers. We got absolutely none. No new subscribers. But that was because we had maybe like 40% of the people in there watching at the same time, concurrent viewers. 40% of you guys were already subscribed. And that beats a lot of what we tend to do. So you guys actually showed up. So that is a number we should be happy about. We want new subscribers to the channel, but if you guys are coming out for Subscriber Sundays, that's kind of what we want. And that's kind of that's the top prize, top pick. We got to talk, we got to laugh, we got to joke about a couple of different things. That was phenomenal. It was the feedback in the chat, right? That's what makes all these worth it. So if you guys are in here, check in the chat. That activity is great for the stream. It's probably one of the best things you can do for the stream outside of you subscribing to the channel, seeing that YouTube, the algorithm is going to look and say, this is active channel. You guys are not bots. So when you guys do come in, drop a hi, say a little something, especially we talk about Money Mondays, right? Jasmine and I, we had a great conversation today offline, just about money, about what to do with money. It's not so much to acquire it. There's a certain mindset that goes along with that we want to talk about. But, just so I don't lose track, one of the topics we touched on tangentially, just concerning the channel. It's concerning some stuff we usually talk about in terms of relationships. When you want that soft life, right? We understand that soft life requires money. Even if you want the soft life for yourself, and we're focused directly on women, because women are usually the ones talking about soft life. Oh, Marissa, thanks for making it. So yeah, you guys it's always one or two back and forth. So I appreciate you guys being here and kicking things off in the chat. So you guys definitely you guys deserve a yay for that. Absolutely. So but we talk about soft life, you want that laid back, right? You want that laid backness, right? Yeah. Listen, I guess we can be happy about even that nonsense in the chat. Get up out of here. Yeah, my forehead's big because I got a lot of thoughts, right? Yeah, a lot of thoughts. So look, soft life, you want that chilling, you want that relaxation, but we know that comes at a cost, that comes at money. Even if I'm just gonna try to be the one, you put that on a man. Right? We'll just leave that, leave it alone, whether or not you want it, you like it, what. But when you do that, what ends up happening is there's a monetary cost, right? We want to be adults for a second. There's a monetary cost for that. It costs money to be able to pay for your own existence and then someone else's existence. And we tear it off, right? We tear it off as in you're going from small spaces to larger, right? In the sense of, all right, you can get a softer life where the majority of things are just easier for you. Someone is in there to help you make decisions, take a lot of stuff off your plate, picking up one or two of your bills, pick up most of the bills for dinner, all the stuff like that. All right, it's softer. Hey, we're driving. You want to be passenger princess. We get all that. But these things end up being different tiered, right? Different thing. At one point in time, it's just like, okay, if someone is taking off the majority of your bills, all of these things, and you want to chill, it's soft. You understand this is a lease, right? Right? This is a lease. You know, you may not like it, but this whole structure is set up as a lease. And I think back in the day or generations ago, you could have probably made you could have convinced the man to say, no, do this for me, you get married, and then this is the expectation how the rest of your life is supposed to be. No, this is a lease. The way it's kind of being structured today, it's going to be leased. It's going to be, hey, as long as you do the things that I want, we can continue this arrangement. If not, then no, then all the other things stop. We're understanding that a lot of this becomes a leverage game. And since we're talking about money, let's be real. Let's talk about leverage. If we know the way that the marriage laws are set up today, and all right, listen, of course, we always want to set aside that we know people are getting married in better number, specifically in the Black community, getting married. But of those people that are married, most of them understand that it's a collaborative effort. It's 50-50 in some sort of form or other. Someone is better at something, let them handle that. Someone is better at other thing, let them handle that. We get together, we make things, we're better together, we can go farther together. That's the reality. But for those that are online saying you want a soft life, you want this, you want that, great, cool, understand, it's leased. As long as you know you're never probably going to be in that position where he becomes over leveraged, where now at the drop of a dime, whenever you decide, you can yank and take a lot of that wealth that he's generated before, the wealth that allows him to give you that soft life. As long as you understand that this is a lease, operation, you have to keep doing the things that he needs you to do or wants you to do. The minute you start balking, you say, no, I don't want to do that. You should still just treat me like this because you love me. This is a business transaction now. Love is probably somewhere in the back end. If you don't want to hold up your end of the bargain, and that's up to you guys. That's up to you guys what that end is, what that looks like. Then understand, people turn in leases all the time. People say, yo, this can go. So soft life is a leased life. It's not a thing that you probably get for the rest of eternity that you get forever and ever and ever. Soft life looks like making your lifetime more efficient, not more expensive. Yeah, which doesn't require responsibility. Yeah, you can all have soft life. Right? We can all have soft life. And this goes into the mindset we're going to be talking about during the stream. That there has to be, your mindset has to shift when you want to go from where you are to wealthy. You have to have a lot of these things properly defined. What does it actually look like? So it reminds me of the conversation. Hey, Dario, glad you made it. Yeah, listen, don't break anything else. yeah, we all have access to a soft life, but we end up ruining a lot of it because you don't own your paycheck, right? And I've hinted at this or said this before. You don't own your paycheck. The monthly subscriptions, the things that you decided I have to pay for, those are its masters. When you get paid, you already know, Netflix needs their cut, Spotify needs their cut, your internet provider, shout out to AT&T, they need their cut. Your rent needs their cut. Your mortgage needs a cut. Car, insurance, you need a cut. You need to eat, right? Everyone already has their hand in your pocket saying, I need that, right? It's tapping your pockets. Especially if you live in New York, state needs it, city needs it, right? Everyone, Fed needs it. Everyone needs a little bit of that, right? I need that in order. Hey, you like good roads, right? You want the van work to be finished at some point in time in the future, right? I need that. That money's got to come out your pocket. So you don't really own your paycheck because now DoorDash needs a cut, right? Uber Eats needs a cut. Uber itself needs a cut. If you're driving and drinking responsibly, everyone needs a cut. So by the time you're left with money to say, all right, what we doing? Yeah, it's time you need more money. Everyone has their hand in your pocket, but you can't even get in there first. It's a gangster situation, and everyone is sitting and say, I need that, right? Yeah. DoorDash is that. Jazz, what's going on? Thank you for inspiring a lot of this conversation today when we talked. Happy birthday, Jazz. All right. Miss Runner, Miss Trackstar, started doing barely doing 5Ks. Now you're doing half marathons. Look at you. Right? Congratulations. Also, we talked a lot about the mindset today, just about money. So part of that is like, yeah, you have to know what you're doing with money. We're going to cover some things, right? Again, Jasmine, you spotted a lot of this conversation today. Also, when you have the opportunity, right, you make sure you pour into your friends, right? The people that show up for you all the time. And sometimes, you reach out when it's their special days. And usually I have conversations, there's always poking and prodding with a lot of you guys, but there's always a healthy exchange, right? I don't poke and prod you as much as I poke and prod, Blair. So if he shows up, we're never going to beat those gay allegations. So listen, you need to fix your mindset first when it comes to money. And this is from another conversation I had with a younger brother. And he was saying he doesn't want to be rich. And the first thing out of my mind is like, well, what does it mean to be rich? And he didn't really have an answer for that moment. He took time to think about it, to let it percolate in his mind. And what he came up with was something like, having $100 million. And I gave him a look. Said, it shows that you never really thought about this. You just thought rich and this is what it meant. No. And his thing was, I don't want that type of money to change me. I was like, well, I think you have a bad definition of rich, right? But I gave him one that he could possibly try on. I said, if you look at the money that you spend every month, let's just call it, that's your burn rate, right? That's the money that you have to replace. You spend that. You go to work and you replace that. That's what everyone has hands in your pocket, taking and pulling what they want. The ability for you to replace that in your sleep, where your labor, your man hours or woman hours is no longer required to actually get that money back. To me, that's someone that's rich. If I can make my W-2 salary without working right now, I consider myself rich. Because in no way do I spend all of this money that I get every paycheck. I don't spend everything. It's got its places to go. But my expense, if I can replace all of that without work with passive income, may that be from your real estate, may that be from a business that you acquired, whatever, that you no longer have to put forth your own physical effort to get that money that you spend every month, I consider that rich, right? And that was I gave him that, and his mind was like, oh. Then he started looking at you a little differently. He said, oh, you might be one of these people that know what they're talking about. So he said, give me 3 things, 2 more things that I could do besides that. I said the unsexy thing. Get a budget, right? The first thing being that fix your limiting view of what money means. That's the first thing. You have to have a clear understanding of what it means, because despite what we may like to pretend and think, a lot of these things that people say about the vibration and being low vibrational, it may matter. The way you talk about money, you have limiting beliefs that we sometimes see in the Black community. Money is bad. Money is the root of all evil. Have you tried not having absolutely any money? It's pretty bad. Have you tried that you had an emergency and there was absolutely nothing? There was nothing. There was no choice. You had nothing. I don't know how to solve this. I got nothing. I've got to now book and borrow, maybe look on, use credit, something. I don't have any way to solve this. That's pretty much awful. That sucks. That feels bad. So in reality, a lot of these things that we say, especially in the Black community, we say that because we're afraid of the attempt. We're afraid of trying to move in that direction to what it means to, like, get your hands on some money. I'm not telling you to sell your soul. I'm not telling you once you get there to forget your day ones. But I'm saying that a lot of your problems that you currently have would be nice for not to feel that. The increase in gas, man, sucks, but it wouldn't be the end all. You wouldn't be like, okay, steak goes up, eggs go up, milk goes up. You're like, damn, that sucks. But your life largely doesn't change. You become immune to a lot of those things. That's where a lot of us would find ourselves. And then, of course, in the face of an emergency, in the face of something goes wrong, you want to be able to say, oh, no, I can take care of that. So I'm driving the other day, a couple days ago, and there's construction, looks like debris that was on the road a little bit, right? I'm on a highway. So I see a bunch of, it looks like cement or something was dragged or something was cleared off. And I just have that inkling, that final destination inkling. I'm behind a truck and truck's speeding. It's like, I need to get out this lane. As I start veering, I can see it. It's slow motion. I see a rock, right? An actual rock, not a pebble, right? A rock just get hurled right towards me. And you don't want to have those immediate reactions where you just jerk the wheel left or right because you haven't even checked the mirrors. You don't know if anyone is there. And at 70 plus miles per hour, you don't want to just go slam into someone else. But now that you want the rock to slam into, your windshield. But, fate said, it's your turn, right? It's your turn. So be an adult, right? Don't endanger someone else. Take that rock. So, yeah, that rock came right into the windshield, just boom. I'm like, that. I'm driving the Tesla. I'm like, all right, there it is. And there's now there's a rock and it bounced off, but there is now damage to the windshield and over 2.5 diamonds, and it's like shattered. So immediately I'm thinking, like most of us, all right, what is this going to effing cost me? Right? Because this is not something that you have budgeted. This is just this is what the emergency is for, right? And this is how, depending how you have your actual money set up. So I do the first thing, right? Okay, let me go and see what this would cost. I call Progressive, right? Because I'm not going to go digging through the policy right now. I'm just Progressive, what's up? Like, you never call us. What's up? What you need? I just got a rock to the face. And that's like, yeah, that sucks. Rock to the face. Hey, cool. How's this covered upon my policy? It was like, let's take a look. I said, of course, right? So, if it can be repaired, it won't cost you anything. Right? If they can repair it with resin right on the glass, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. You'll be good. Right? If we have to, actually replace the entire thing, then hey, listen, that's gonna, less your deductible. I said, cool. Understandable. But what if we backtrack and now say, what effect would it have on my policy going forward? Because we all know we don't want to get in an accident, something minor, and then go through insurance. Insurance is like, oh yeah, okay, we don't want to pay you, although you've been paying us for years with no accident, month after month, with no issue, no problem. We haven't given you a break, even though you haven't gotten to an accident. You haven't called us. We're surprised you called us now. We haven't said a word to you, heard anything from you. You pay your bill faithfully, but I don't want to pay you out anything at all. We all know this. We all know the scam, the great scam. Outside of it being something huge, that's when insurance comes in. But for everyday minor stuff, most of you are not going to get an accident. You're not going to need it. But, by law, you got to have it. So we have it. It's like, yeah, your policy go up. I can't tell you how much, right? Wink, wink. I can't tell you how much, but it'll go up. Next time we have to reassess, it'll go up. So I said, so I should probably just, they said, yeah, you should probably just, okay. So of course, you thinking you had auto glass damage and you've been advertised the same way I've been advertised to, you call SOFT LIFE. Call SOFT LIFE. I think in UK, auto glass repair, they've got their own little jingle. But they tell me, they're like, hey, this is now I'm parked, right? Now I'm doing all this legally. They're like, to get the resin repaired, if it's less than this, cool. Set it up. Technician comes out. He's like, nope. Nope. All I'm hearing is expensive. Said, nah, it's if this won't help. Putting the resin in there, it's larger than the 2-inch diameter. It's spidering out. No. So you have to get this replaced and recalibrated, all that. Okay, great. So then I go back on the app and, say if it's like $1,000, which is a lot better than I thought. But when it's not something that you've budgeted, you don't have anything for an emergency, this could be kind of detrimental, because then you'll play that game, right? You start playing a game saying, can I wait to get this fixed? Probably, right? Maybe. You have another car you can use. No, I don't. Okay, what are you going to do? You got to go to work. You still got to pick up your kids. You got to go grocery shop. You're going to be on the road with this vehicle. So as you wait, the damage gets larger and larger and larger. the cracks start to spread. Maybe unfortunately, you're driving one time and then, yeah, money. All right. Listen, if you guys know what I'm talking about, let me know in the chat. Unless you guys, have never had an accident whatsoever, kudos and shout out to you guys. But for the rest of us, we've been through some stuff. Of course, double tap your screen, like the stream. Just triple tapping does do something. Someone should try that out for me. But so if you don't have this budget, if you don't have the emergency fund set up, if you don't have, or when stuff just goes bad, when stuff's not cool, then you start realizing, damn, right? Like we said, you start putting it off. I still got to go and run my errands. I still got to go to work. I still got to do stuff for the kids. So that crack just grows and starts to spread. And then God forbid you get pulled over. Cops be like, yo, what's that? You got to get that fixed. You got to get that fixed, partner. And then what happens? Oh yeah. Accident prone, car accident prone. Yeah. So now a cop pulls you over and say, yeah, you get a ticket for that. So on top of the cost of replacing the glass, even if you go through insurance, you still have to pay, depending what your deductible is. It's $1,000. Say your deductible is $1,000. Well, you about to pay this out of pocket. It say deductible is $500, so you got to come up with $500. If you don't have the budget for $500 for $1,000, things get complicated. Now you got an extra ticket on top of. You still need to replace this glass. So even if you had a $500 deductible, now how much is that ticket that you got because your windshield was cracked and you were driving? It adds up. Now you start leaning maybe your credit cards to pay some of the stuff. And depending where you already were at in that standing, now things get hairy. And this is how the debt just continues to cycle and continues to be pushed off. Okay, I could put it on my credit card, but now I can't pay the thing off in full. Now I'm going to try my best to pay it off bit by bit. Now I'm getting hit with that 22 to 29% interest rate. Now, hopefully, maybe I got clever and I can transfer this from one that was 0%, that Discover always shooting around to you. So you got to wheel and deal and move stuff around, pay that little fee to transfer it from one card to another, to your debt from one place to another. So now you try to pay this off in the appreciable 19 months, 21 months that it gives you. But when you're budgeting or you don't budget or you're living that close to the edge, every other day could be an emergency. Every other day could be something that goes wrong. Yeah, it's out. Exactly. Because now it's downhill because it's all little choices. You had to make a little concession here, then a little concession here, then a little concession here. Over time, it just builds up because in that time and space, that little thing that you had to do, that little emergency that you had, it wasn't the most important thing, but it had to get done. So it had to get done. It gets tallied onto another set of bills. Now, I'm OCD anal about some things, not about a lot of others. But in terms of that mindset, one of the things that I became very attentive to was down to credit cards. I like if my mom is watching this, she told us never buy something on your credit card that you don't have the cash to pay it off immediately. Now, if you don't have that cash, then you don't have the credit. You're pushing this thing down. Now, that's sound advice that I promptly did not listen to when I was younger. Immediately did not listen to. It was 20 years old, 21, something like that. I don't listen to that. I was in debt for such a long time. I remember I had a GM card. The GM card. I don't know how that got its way to me, but I had a GM card. And that thing, I had $240 on it. I just could not manage to pay off. I just couldn't manage to pay it off. $240. I know I couldn't manage to pay off because I was completely irresponsible. That's completely on me. That's my fault. It's the game. But that was real. That was just how life was. So now, because I want to be a good son and I want to make sure my credit's where it should be. Yeah, whenever I get a big purchase, I'll put it on a credit card because I want the points, right? Shout out to Delta. And then I just want the thing paid off. So I'll routinely throughout the week, throughout the month, go in there and make sure, let me zero that out. That's it. This way, while I don't recommend you being OCD about some things, and we'll talk about the stock market later on in terms of your sort of mental acuity, right? And your mindset. Credit cards, you should be very intimate with your balances, even if it's something that you're not proud of, even if it's something that you don't like. Sometimes you see those creators when they create videos, I hate that saying that. Create videos. Creators create videos. Creators, when they make videos talking about, I'm in this much of that, and they take you on the journey with them as they start chipping away at this thing. I think that type of transparency, you can, with yourself, you have to share your number with the rest of us, with yourself, and just say, this is what we're going to do. Because when you hide away from a lot of these things, it only grows bigger. It only gets bigger. It only gets more and more fierce. It only looks at you dead in the face and says, you should have been paying attention to me. You should have kept your eyes on the prize because I'm here. And even if you don't spend on that, the interest rate is killing you. There's really nothing that you're doing in your life right now that's going to get you 29% interest. Nothing. Right? Even on the stock market in a good year, we'd be like, yo, it's 20% this year. It's not 29, right? And some credit cards, that's how high their interest rate goes. So when you have to lean on it, and I understand things happen, you have to lean on it. All I'm saying is one of the things you need to do is keep your eye on it. Some people like having cutting the credit card up so they don't have access to it. Cool. Make sure you don't also don't have access to that same card digitally. But we've made a society where things are even more convenient to separate you and your money. We love it that way. We advertise you on the regular. You can't walk by certain places and the advertisement might say, I see you over here. I was in Apple Maps just 2 days ago, and it was like, hey, we're going to start sending you advertisements depending on your proximity and stuff. No opt out. No saying like, I'm cool on that. I'm cool on that. No, I was just like, this is happening. Right? This is happening. For those of you, maybe it was the newest update. It was like, yo, this is happening. So we do a phenomenal job of separating you with your money, and we love every aspect of that. It's not good for us looking at where the economy is. It's not the thing. We're going to have unsexy solutions to a lot of the way the economy is going today. That's just the reality of it. So you need to have your budget. You need to have that set. So that's the second thing I told them: budget. Absolutely budget. So, and part of having that budget is creating a space or enough space to knowing whether or not you are currently making enough to pay down debt, right? And not all debt is the most evil thing in the world, but you're making enough to actually pay down your debt. Cool. Pay attention to what some of your interest rates are, because we want to get you investing. We want put your money to work for you. But we sometimes think of debt as like the ultimate evil when it comes down to your finances. And for the most part, yeah, you can. It's safe to think about it like that. But some of your debt is going to be good, as in this debt actually gives you more in an asset, say your house, your debt that you own, the loan you took to purchase a business, but the business makes more than the debt. That's where you want to sort of find yourself. But generally speaking, if you have, say, you're one of these people that have a house with an interest rate in the 2s and the 3s, and because you're so debt averse, you're thinking, I got to spend all my time paying that off, where you probably would have been better served having that money in the market. The S&P is currently doing what, 8-9% for the year. So even if you took that money to pay down your debt quicker, right, you're paying that debt is on a 3% interest rate versus what it could possibly doing for you. It's not like you have to do one or the other, but you want to at least be doing both. We later on we got a video talking about the difference between, sometimes it comes up between should you own or should you rent, and which one is better for your wealth. And I think this is a good segue, a good bridge into what we're talking about, the mindset when it comes down to how you actually are with money. Because very easily, what we usually know is, okay, if you have, if you own a house, your net worth is usually higher, right? Versus we say when you're renting, you're giving your money away, you're paying some landlord. Sometimes you need to pay a landlord. I'm a landlord, pay me, right? I got no issue with that. You want the convenience of having things fixed. Yeah, that's what happens as well. But sometimes people try to make the argument, and it's like as it is black and white, but the mindset becomes, frankly, really, really critical. We'll get into it in a sec.
I ran the 30-year math on buying versus renting. The house people are not going to like me. 500K house, 100K down payment. I gave one person the house, I gave the other person the stock market. Here's what happened after 30 years. The homeowner's house is worth $1.4 million. Sounds amazing, right? Until you realize they spent $1.5 million to get there. The renter who invested that 100K down plus the $1,500 monthly difference, $4.4 million after 30 years. A home gives you stability and roots and a place to call yours. That's real, but it's not the wealth move everybody says. Follow me for more math they didn't teach you.
So, that sounds good, but then why don't we have a bunch more people renting, with that type of, net worth? It's because you're ignoring the tendencies, the propensities of people when they actually have money. When they're actually sitting there, as they appreciate that, when they actually have money, what happens? You don't just say, I'm renting and I'm renting way below my budget. People, when they're looking for their places that they're going to live, houses, rent, places they're going to rent, or houses that they rent, or apartments that they rent, you tend to think about it in the sense of how much can I afford? When you're looking at your mortgage and say, okay, this is how much house I want to buy. How much can I afford? That's why when sometimes when I have many conversations with people saying, okay, we bought this house and now we're in a different stage of our life. We want to do something. We're just going to turn around and rent it out. But then you find you can't really get that number to work because when you bought it with the idea, how much house can I afford? I want the most house that I can afford. When you go into buying rentals, you go in there with a very different attitude. You're a caveman. You got your stick. It's unga bunga. How much can I steal this house from this person from? How much? What's the number they need? The minimum number they need to leave. I've bought houses where I was like, I first want to know, why do they want out? And depending, sometimes you get people in that nice little generational pocket. It's time for them to retire. They're done, right? These houses, these rentals have made them money. They're good. They're done. Now, yeah, it would be nice if I could leave with a chunk, nice chunk. But maybe you catch them in a spot where they already got their place in Florida lined up. They got tickets bought. It's lined up. They just want to get this off the books. And here I come. Captain Caveman, Unga Bunga. I'm saying, okay, what you need? How much? All right, let's knock off some money from that. Yes, I can't afford their asking. Otherwise, you really wouldn't have been interested in the place. You run the numbers and say, hey, you know what? This actually does work based on what they have, based on this number. It works, but you don't have to pay that, especially if you're in a rush to sell. You're ready to move on to a next phase of your life. Perfect. 30K less. Oh, it's insulting. But we're talking, right? We're talking. That's the key, right? That's my strategy. I'm giving you guys a game. I'm gonna lowball you, but not enough to insult you, but enough to where you should be insulted. But once you reply, I know we're gonna make a deal. Once you reply to me and say, yo, that's kind of insulting. I was looking to be closer to this. Okay, you've moved off your inflated price. I feel like it's inflated. Okay, I'm going to see like I'm reasonable. Let me come up off where I want to be. Meanwhile, I'm not doing this. I'm not the expert negotiator, but you have to, create the teams. You create the teams in place that are going to tell you exactly what to do for you. Hey, realtor, this is where my number's at. This is where I want to be at. You get me around there, we got a deal. Right? I'm going to go F off and do something else. I got other plans. I got other places I want to look at. Whatever you want to do. He comes back, and say, yeah, this is what they came with. You think they're firm? He's like, I think they're firm. I say, I like that number. Or you don't like the number. You walk. But back to what she's saying. The idea, right? Now we understand the difference. What you invest in, how you invest in it is very different from the home you see your family in. But we go back to the question, why don't you see a bunch of renters that are super duper wealthy, super duper rich over the same 20, 30 year period? Because they've been investing that initial capital they put into the market. Then every month they sit there and increase, they put in $1,500. Yes, over the span of 20 years, this should be a small fortune. And it is on paper. But reality is very different. People move differently when they look at a place as temporary. People are not disciplined machines that said, I'm just going to keep and doing this. You're not going to stay in the same apartment for the same 20 years. Stuff happens, life happens, you grow, your family grows. The reason why people's net worth is better, is higher when people own their own place, is because of the roots you set down. Is because you start thinking about, okay, what do we have to do to maintain this place? What do we have to do going forward? And you have market forces increasing the area itself. Then simultaneously, you also are investing. You may not start with that initial egg of $100,000 that you put down to get your place, but that doesn't mean you don't use the market at all. So now you got two investment vehicles working for you. People in that rent homes tend to have families that in most cases 70+% are working. Two parents are working. Now you guys are working together to actually make your wealth increase. So sometimes we want to say things that are cool, right, for effect, but we're missing the very human element. You're not a machine. You're inputting this data and saying, well, even in the best, most aggressive market, how much would your wealth has increased versus how much someone else's in the market would increase? It's apples to oranges. Yeah, but a lot of this work started happening when I was sleeping, not when I had to continue to put money into the market every month. I simply got to chill, raise a family, have experiences here, have a root system. The house we have in that we grew up in Queens, New York, that's not something for me to sell. My brother, my sister, that's something for, we're shoving off into the next generation. You guys get to decide what to do with it. But for now, we all have a base. Whatever happens in life, you lose your job, you're struggling, there's a base. You can go back home. That's it, right? That's always going to be an availability there. Think about that. If you no longer had to worry, stuff goes wrong, you and your spouse split up, you lose your job in this economy, you got a place you can go back home and say, yeah, I'm good. No one's there is going to say, you got to get out, you got to kick up. No, it's good. You're good. That type of weight, that is real wealth. That's how you build that. You give people the option to say, I can breathe. In trying times, in not so trying times, there's that safety net, that very real safety net. Despite your best efforts, you may end up on the street because, hey, this company went another way. This company decided to downsize. We're doing it. Yeah, no, we got a base. From there, you build out. Okay, you go out, you grab that, right? You put that all in the name, right? Always keep your base head with pass down. Always. From on that rock, you'll build your church right there. Everyone knows you can, boom, right here. The home for wayward boys. That's where it is. That's just a moniker. You know. But you can always go back home. Right now, I'm done. And go home. Right? With welcome arms, open arms, and saying, yeah, no, this is your father's place. This is your family's place. This is your place. And then it's my job to now pass it down. That, again, now we start talking about what wealth is. Now we start understanding outside of the cars, the Lamborghinis, right? The Uruses, the canary yellow Uruses going down the street, right? Stuff like that you like to see, that we make this erroneous assumption with this is actually wealth. The Audemars, the watches, you going out, the yachts, the vacations, you think that's wealth, but realistically, it's the expenditure of money that we somehow think that's wealth. It's the access that money gets you that you think is wealth. And sometimes maybe the frequency that you see someone doing this all the time, this is their normal versus your normal. We're all human. Our normals are probably very normal. But when you take a step away from that, you look and say, what is it that you need and that would demonstrably improve your life today monetarily? What would that be? Is it just, I want to go on a vacation? Is it just, I have this bill paid off, I no longer have to worry about this thing, those of you that took the time, the effort, cleared up a lot of your debt or cleared up most of your debt or all of your debt, you can't tell me you don't have a sigh, you don't breathe a sigh of relief. When the mail comes, you're not ducking and diving something that says past due. You not have no expectation of that. You're just, oh yeah, the mail's here. Oh, junk. That's it. Oh, new credit card. No, junk. I don't need any of that. Those people out there with credit scores in the 8s, you don't actively use it. Like, yo, we got it. I wish. No, you remember a time when you wish your credit was on point, where you were in the journey of actually working towards it. Why we not understand that is wealthy, that is rich? When, especially as you pay more attention and you see how the bottom is dropping out, how people, especially in Gen Z, are looking saying, yo, I can't afford shit. How am I supposed to do this? The market is running away from me. We talked about this yesterday on the live stream. Market's running away from me. What am I supposed to do? How do I get my money together? All is lost. Okay. Don't you think that because those aren't your worries, right? Those aren't your worries, that maybe things is pretty smooth for you when you have the ability to have extra income and you're saying, okay, this is where it should go, this is where it should go. The extra income is only extra income because you're responsible. It's not because it's just overflowing. You just know this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what I'm supposed to do. The problem is none of it is sexy. None of it is sexy. Not a drop of it is sexy. Budgeting is not sexy. It doesn't look good on IG. It doesn't look good as a photo. It doesn't look good as a reel. Not cool. Right? Just having your money together, it doesn't seem cool until you realize what it looks like for people that don't. Age of disclosure on TikTok and people saying, I can't afford this. I can't afford this. And it comes across as simply basic necessities. Those people saying like, I can't afford to be in this apartment anymore. I'm going to go. You need a roommate. And that's not sexy. Not in a sexy time roommate where, hey, it's all, no, you need a bunch of people living under the same roof in order to survive. It's going to become a community effort. If you can't go back home, for those people that don't have home to go back to, it's not going to look pretty. You're going to have to team up. Like the old school team ups, right? Marvel Comics and Marvel cards, right? They used to, you sit there and love those little team ups. Oh, Daredevil and Punisher, right? Teaming up. I mean, if you guys didn't know, that's actually a thing. That's why they did it in the Netflix. When Marvel was good on Netflix. You guys remember? Yeah. You guys will get that later. So yeah, a lot of things become unsexy. So, that was the second thing, was telling budget. You need to have that down, and then paying down your debt. You need to see, okay, what debt needs to be absolutely paid, the high interest rate, right? You can hate him and love him, but Dave Ramsey's right about that. Pay down your high interest first, or your low interest to snowball, whatever you like to do. But your debt needs to be tackled. I say go high first because I think it's going to make the biggest difference in your actual life. Some of your small debt you can set aside. Controversial take. You can set a lot of that aside. I'm talking small. If it's between you getting to a net zero in your debt versus you starting to put money to the market, I'm going to tell you, pay off majority of debt and then start investing in the market. Start investing in the market. If now listen, invest in the market. I think it's good for you. It's a good strategy to build your wealth. Again, it's not sexy. We're talking a 20-year outlook, 30-year outlook. But you don't have the wherewithal to go and say, I'm going to go ahead and buy. Matter of fact, let's go to Easy University. Right? You don't got a wherewithal. You don't have the money set aside to be judicious and say, I'm going to do this healthily. I'm going to do it this right way. You don't got that. I'm going to go and buy a business. I'm going to go and buy real estate. You don't have that, right? That's not you, right? That's not you. That's not how you build. Maybe the market, set it, forget it, is a better attitude, a better avenue for you. I had to learn a lot about real estate before I got good at real estate. And even still, it's good and then it's bad. And then I need $17,000 for you to fix a porch. You like a porch? They're like, a porch. So maybe buying something in the market is this simple idea. And something like ETFs is a good idea. Jasmine and I had a whole conversation about that. Marissa, we had a conversation about that a couple of days ago. Yeah, buy ETFs, set it and forget it. A lot of you set and forget it. That's going to be your best bet, because a lot of us, we're bad at math, right? More so in terms of the mindset, we're going to look at the market and we're going to freak out. We're going to say, it's down today. I'm broke. Set it and forget it. Check quarterly at best. Or if you have the discipline to go and check, okay, I'll check. Okay. Set up recurring payments on your own. That's going to be the best bet for a lot of people. All right. So yeah, we're going to have a different segment also for Easy University. Little nice 80s music. For those of your age, remember some of the movies in the 90s and the early 2000s. So yeah, that's the idea. You can get ETFs. I'm thinking it's the lazy way for you to get rich. Set it, forget it. And I think that's going to be healthy for a lot of people in a generalized sense. You don't know anything about stocks. You don't know anything about options. You don't know anything about puts, calls. You don't know anything about that. You don't have the mind for it, or you don't have the time for it. You want the results from it, but you don't want to do the actual, take the time to learn about this. That's me. I don't want to take the time to learn about this. You can either now pay someone to do that, but no one treats your money like you, like you. So buying ETFs is probably the better strategy, especially if you're taking the healthy outlook of looking at it long term, of understanding that this is going to be a marathon, never a sprint. You're never going to get there immediately. So you take your time, you build that wealth. And like we said, like on the title, that first 100K is where it's at. Because it's hard when you put in $100 and you say, man, we made $2 this year. It's kind of hard, right? It's kind of hard for you to look at that and say, this is worth it. This is exciting, right? This is going to get me where I need to be. No, it's not sexy. It's not sexy, but most people can understand a compound interest needs something to compound its interest upon. And that 100K for us, for our mind, is when you first see that, damn, I got it. Damn, I'm there. And then you can put that in markets. And again, when it goes down, don't flip out. Don't flip out. Historically is what we're looking at stuff. This is the data part of the conversation. This is the math part. We want to look at things and see how they actually accrue over time. Things are going to get better. Things are going to get over time. That means part of over time is the down years. Damn, we -3. Damn, -20. Yeah, but over 10 years, you tend to have a more positive outlook. Don't try to time it, right? Don't use the crystals. Don't use your low vibrational stats to figure this out. Set up a schedule, set up a routine, set up a habit, pay in, go back out. And for those of you who don't have a 401k, the order should be first, retirement. Invest in retirement first. If you have a job that matches a percentage of that, put that percentage in. If you can, over time, max that out. So now you are, say like every time you get a raise, right? If you get a yearly raise, adjustment like that, and you're living fine, you've got your budget set, you get a 4% raise, you get a 2% raise, increase whatever percentage you're putting in for your retirement, because now the money feels the same, but you've got more going where it should go. That's a cheat code. Your life doesn't feel any different, especially you're already living below your means. Your life doesn't feel any different, but your money is now working in the background for you. And that's where you want it working, in the background. That makes sense. I think that makes sense. Let me know in the chat if that makes sense. Or I'm just talking, I'm just chatting. Like the British like to say, you're just chatting, right? But again, if you are new here, like the stream, double tap that screen, subscribe to the channel. These things make the big difference to the channel. Money Mondays, we got Subscriber Sundays, where we like to have fun, laugh, joke, more interaction with you guys. I'm experimenting with getting back to doing, we had that the very first stream we did, and we had that delayed video thing. So it kind of turned me off that, but I'm interested in actually seeing if I can get that working. No lag, actual properly. I've got a whole new setup, so that might be an actual thing we can do. I know a lot of you guys are completely shy with the videos, so but we should be able to make that happen if you guys want to jump on screen, or at least just have your voice be heard while we're doing these back and forths. Let's avoid more taxes being taken out of your check as well. Yes, absolutely. That's a fantastic. The more you put in, this is pre-tax for your 401k. The government's going to be like rats. But in terms of taxes, we also talked about with Jasmine, talked about using a high yield savings account, where the interest that you get on that higher yield, 3% right now, just around 3 to 4%, that you will receive, I think, a 1099 from whatever institution you're using at the end of the year for your taxes. Versus we were talking about putting money, once you've done all these other things, high yields should be for your emergency fund, right? Let's go back to Easy University real quick. So you need your emergency fund. You need to set that up. Depending on what you need, 3 to 6 months, depending on the stability of your job, you might want to up that, right? How long do you think it would take you to find a new job based on your same income that you have right now? Right now, in a crappy, in a crappy industry, it may take you more time. So you set that up, right? Makes sense. Just like me, here $1,000 for a windshield. I got to make sure I have that money ready to go. So instead of having that sitting around in your checking account, which gets 0.00001%, put that in high yield savings, something that at least you can accessible within a day or two. Most of them are business days. Now your money's sitting there. If it's 3 to 5 months, whatever it is, say it's 20,000, 30,000, it's just sitting there. I'm here for emergencies, but I'm also, in the beginning of the day, it puts on its nice little, suit, its nice pressed suit pants, whatever, and it goes off to work while you go to work. Instead of just sitting there and enriching the bank, it went off to work just like you did. Now, again, 1099 end of year. You made money on this. Uncle Sam wants his cut. Uncle Sam won't be denied. Great. You've got that set up. Emergency fund is good. High yield's good. You've already got your 401k ready maxed out. Great. Now you still got money left over. You sly dog. Congratulations. You're doing better than a lot of us. You take that money, put it in a self-directed, brokerage where now you can decide what you want to invest in. I recommend ETFs. Now, there's no 1099 on the money that you make in there because, Uncle Sam wants his cut when you take the money out. So for those of you that are going to go from $100,000 in the next 20 years to something 1.2 million, no, you got to pay Uncle Sam his cut, right? But rather you have to take a lot of bit of something that I have than nothing a bit of, because I have nothing a bit. That's just a trade. Now, of course, you can simply do this and pass this on depending on your need, depending on what you're doing with this money. You could pass it on to your next generation, right? There's other options. We start playing rich, playing by their rules, and seeing how they move, how they use their money. That's what the position we want to find ourselves in. That's going to be the name of the game, right? All right, we might be back to Easy University later on, but that's what we're supposed to do. That's how we make this happen. Right? That's how we get the one decent decision at a time. And that first $100,000, yeah, man, that's going to be rough, right? That's just going to be rough. That's the long and short of it. When the first 100K I saved, I'll be real with you, right? This is easy lore. When you go to the ATM, and I think people go to ATM less and less these days. At least I do. Like needing actual physical cash is kind of phasing out. But you go to ATM and then people just leave the ATM slips all over the place. And I'm nosy. I want the cheese, man. I want to see what you're doing. I want to see what you're working with. So I pick it up and I'm like, $40. All right, $40. Sucks to be you. I got $360 in there, right? I'm doing way better. So, $40. And there's one time I saw something like $200,000 when I received. He took out $20. He or she had $200,000 plus. I could feel my spirit trying to leave my body, right? At that, I was like, no, this can't be. Right? You don't think about, technically a lot of people around you are just doing better than you, right? You think everyone's either struggling or you got the edge. No, a lot of people doing way better than you. A lot of people that live in your area, that frequent that bank like you do, they're doing way better than you. way better. So instead of being completely discouraged and bummed out, I said, that's going to be me. I'm going to be that guy that has, 6 figures in his bank account, in his checking, right? In his checking. And that's it. And I'm going to leave my receipt. So I aggressively started saving. I was trying to save like $25,000 a year. I mean, I'm living, balls to the wall, like Dave Ramsey, beans and rice. But, over time, I'm also realizing, let me put the money in the market at the same time. I was using a robo investor called Betterment. I was just throwing money in there. Betterment was like, I got you. And we just had a good 2.5, 3 years. So a lot of that money eventually, jumped doing its own work. That money was kind of putting on a suit and tie and calling me lazy when I was going to work. So I got something like 96,000, but by then I had been researching. I had started saying, all right, this is the area I want to invest in. I want to buy real estate. So that money that I had in my mind said, it's going to take me 4 to 5 years to get that 100K initially. I got it. And then I thought, okay, you can put this in market or you can buy some real estate. And I bought real estate. So, but that first initial 100, that's when the magic happens. That's when the secret sauce happens. Now, you don't have to necessarily wait to put that in the market. Once you just have that lump sum of 100, you want to have that thing working for you. What I do right now, what I recommend is you set up how much you get with ChatGPT. You guys get some calculators and try to look and see, if I start with this initial investment and I pick these stocks, I pick these ETFs that I want to invest in, how long would it take me from this investment I have to get here? Now you want to have that set up where every month you're purchasing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. Essentially, every time you get paid, you want to have a place for your money to go. If my checking account, if there's too much money in the checking account, then I know I didn't do something right. That money should have a place to go. It should be going here, here, or here. If it's not, then I either need to reevaluate, reinvest, re-strategize, of course, Jasmine, I need to re-strategize what I'm doing with my money. And one thing I told my brother, it's a slightly off topic, it's tangential, is the power of just kind of opening your mouth and talking to people. And this is how you have some of the greatest conversations, because you never know what someone next to you might be ready to give you the game on a bunch of stuff. When it comes down to credit card points, strategies, I go to Marissa there. What am I supposed to do with this? What? How do I do this? How do I do that? All right, she's got the game down packed. Real estate, I'm always encouraging my friends, save your money right now. Stay on the sidelines. Now's not the great time to buy. You always have your people around, but if you never open your mouth, if you're too embarrassed or you think you don't have anything to offer, you'd be surprised how many people around you could benefit from some of your knowledge, and how you could benefit from, 1, teaching that, 2, they may have something on that game that you're like, damn, that's true. I didn't think about it like that. This is part of why we should, what should be about, Money Mondays. Strategies that you're currently using that make sense to you, that helps you get your stuff together. Sometimes it's not about money. Sometimes it's just about the mindset, shifting you from, woe was me, that I'll never get there, to someone saying, I think I got an idea, right?
Hello, I like money.
At the end of the day, we all want to find ourselves in a better place. And the easiest way to do that is if we're all kind of walking together. That's me. That's me on Mondays, right? Every other day of the week, I'm your unlicensed life coach, right? Untrained, uneducated, unlicensed life coach. I'll give you the game. That's the other strategy. So yeah, you have a place for your money. You have already said, this is what you should be doing. This is where you should be going. This way you don't end up falling for a lot of these scams that happen online, right? And a lot of times, we're talking Black community, we end up falling for a lot of things because people are there and they just kind of want to do better. They have that desire. Outside of us comparing ourselves to other people's lives, we want just to do better, and we get frustrated because the means available to us through our own choices sometimes, and sometimes outside of us, it limits us to where we are. So we understand the better idea is when stuff gets tough, right? You go to the mattresses, and not like the Italians go to mattresses. You go to mattresses and you start getting tighter with your money. But we really want to do that. We really want to downsize. I don't want to go back from something that I thought it was an accomplishment to leave. So I end up investing in a bunch of scams. Not me.
Tonight, the FBI is looking for victims here in Cleveland who may have been swindled in a real estate investment Ponzi scheme.
And investigators say the conspiracy and wire fraud happened using social media. Our Sia New Yorker has been digging through this and is here with the studio with details. Sia, good evening.
Good evening, Russ and Lena. Investigators say a New Jersey couple preyed on people here in Northeast Ohio using an Instagram account under the handle Big Business.
So you can't trust Jersey. I'm just saying that.
A grand jury charged Greg and Danielle Parker each on 3 counts of wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud, saying they scam victims out of bogus real estate investments.
We have the blueprint. We've been doing this for 20 years. We rebuilt our community in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Federal investigators say husband and wife Gregory and Danielle Parker flashed an extravagant life on Instagram using the handle Big Business.
So listen, would you invest with anyone with that name? Big Business? I thought branding was important. I mean, that Instagram looked clean, right? That looked clean. I'll give them that. But Big Business? Nah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Especially someone that, claiming Jersey, repping Jersey. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Promising to show hundreds of thousands of followers how they too could make the big bucks in real estate investments if they followed them and listened closely to their instructions. It's just one of the ways the New Jersey-based couple started pulling in Northeast Ohio clients, luring them in with these videos.
Yo, real quick, listen to me. I want y'all to understand something. For all my Cleveland one-on-one clients, listen to me right now.
Federal prosecutors say the duo leased fancy cars and private jets and posted them on social media to show clients their quote-unquote success.
So listen, for you, those of you getting ready to cheat people, right? How's it feel? Right? Yeah. Sell plates. Yeah. How does it feel when they start using your social media against you? When they start throwing that stuff out there? When they start showing, remember you guys, the PJs, right? Remember when you rented that? Now they're just going to show it in court. And they're going to be like, here. Well, what do you have for evidence of this? Here, right? How do you think they afforded that? Let's actually go through their funds. And yeah, you can't really afford that. Someone in real estate, right? Someone that you see a shirt, right? Someone in real estate. I know there's things that I can do, and I'm well versed in those things. And I know there's a big area of stuff that I can't touch. You'll never see me on a PJ taking pictures like that. If you saw me in a private jet, it's probably I was on there to clean it or something. The amount of course, the cost, the fuel cost, just alone. Now, if anyone wants to get together and actually fractionally own a jet, I would be interested in that, right? That sounds cool. Like I own 1/36 of a jet. I don't think that actually works in terms of bragging rights, but it'd be cool, right? It'd be cool, but no, me on the no, you could just look at that and say, I don't know how well you're doing at what scale. This is not saying that's not possible. We're not saying it's not possible, but if you know anything about real estate, you'd have to see someone's portfolio has to be huge to afford something like that. And you're doing business in Cleveland, not San Fran, not New York, not, dare I say, Miami, Cleveland. So a lot of this is we end up being scammed in the Black community because we're ready to be scammed. We're willing to be scammed.
Listen, we out Cleveland with my man Ace.
And investigators say it worked. Between 2017 and 2023, prosecutors say the Parkers collected thousands of dollars from investors in the city of Cleveland and East Cleveland, promising to renovate and manage properties. The 65-page indictment listed more than a dozen properties in these two cities, including vacant and abandoned homes on Harvard Avenue, East 65th, Somerset, Hosmer, Van Buren, Hastings, Strathmore, just to name a few. In 2022, federal prosecutors say the Parkers held seminars here at the Hyatt Regency downtown titled Rolling with the Parkers, where several wire transfers were made. Documents show that more than 100 investors across the country and Canada may have been swindled, and investigators are still trying to tally up exactly how much they believe the couple allegedly stole, but it could be as high as $2 million.
When we went to the city of Cleveland, it just wasn't time for them. The city wasn't even up on what we were doing. I had to stop telling myself that things didn't go right, because they did.
Listen, when you saw that, when you saw it, you telling me the city wasn't ready? The city wasn't ready for what we... You know that saying, there's nothing new under the sun, right? You hear always can't get with the... Yeah. Thank you. The maintenance on these jets, right? And I met someone late last year, and he was all into flies. Him and his wife, they're building an actual house where a bunch of pilots, they live in that pilot community where the runways, they're like their backyard, where everyone has a private plane to go there. So we had this whole conversation just about, okay, I'm saying to him, all right, listen, man, listen. Which one is going to be more like, which one would the ladies, be like, yo, that's impressive, right? If I get one of these jets, like I want to buy a jet, I want to fly a jet, I want to get my license, I want to own a jet. Because one, the ladies are going to come like, oh my God, this is a jet. You a pilot? Of course, I told you 37 times already. Or realistically, if you get a prop plane, right? You pick her up for the date, you drive into the hangar, you take the plane out, take the sticks, the pulleys out, and then you give her the headset, and like now you. It's like, which one's like impressive? Like, which one of the ladies gonna be like, oh my God, which one of these is gonna hit the group chat? The PJ, or can I get away with the prop plane? Because listen, the prop plane isn't just like $50,000. That's also, some of them go for like under $1 million, right? Prop plane, right? 500, 600. And keep in mind, this is a thing that was built in the 70s, but because insurance reasons and how insurance changed, it became more expensive to build something new and insure it. So what they end up doing is just simply retrofitting the old ones in the date when it was manufactured. Still, the date was manufactured. You end up taking out all the guts, replacing them with new IFR equipment. All this. But I'm like, yo, which one's gonna be more impressive? And then we started talking about the price of fuel, the price of maintenance. And then I was like, oh. I said, how does anyone afford this? He said, fractional ownership. A lot of times, you're not using your PJ. It's sitting there in the hangar. You're renting it out for people when they want to use it. Oh, a little peek behind the curtain. And he said something like, say you're going from Dallas to Houston. He said, you know how much it will cost you to fuel? And we're not talking like an actual big, fat, gorgeous jet. We're talking just like, small jet. He said it's $1,000 of fuel. That's not to say anything about the actual price you have to pay for it while it sits on the ground, all those other fees. Not saying anything. We're not even talking about the yearly maintenance. We're not talking about any of that. He said just fuel alone, getting there, $1,000. I said, yo, but going from Dallas to Houston, you catch it right, like $129. He's like, yeah. I was like, damn, all for clout? He said, yeah. Okay. So yeah, needless to say, I do not own a jet. I do not own a plane right now. My dreams are dashed by math. And I hope that doesn't happen to the rest of you. But listen, if you see someone on a PJ, you really got to consider what is going on. You're either really doing well or it scams about. But look, my point is, you're telling people like, yo, the city wasn't ready for us. Cleveland wasn't ready for us. You're not Usher and Chris Brown where you come down, you shut down the city and everyone has to take the next day off. Everyone has to take Monday off because what you guys did to their wives and their girlfriends, and now the men are rioting. Yeah, that the city wasn't ready for that. That's the scenario in which I see it, right? I can't wait to cover that story. But for the rest of you saying this, and if you were part of this, you follow them at the time. When you hear stuff like this, it sounds good, especially when you put that music to it. It sounds good. It sounds eloquent. Yo, they're right. Yo, we've been doing this 20 years. Okay, how long has Cleveland been around? How long has the city of Cleveland existed? They weren't ready. Now I get it. Some markets don't lend well, don't play with certain strategies. You don't condemn the city, you just change your strategy for that spot. But again, this is coming from someone that is skeptical, someone that New York has trained you to be an entire skeptic, that it's all a lie. Everyone's trying to get their hand in your pocket.
Court records show both Gregory and Danielle have been appointed a public defender. Now, the FBI has set up a special email for victims and want to hear from those here in Northeast Ohio who invested with the Parkers or attended any of their seminars. Click on WKYC.com for more. Russ?
Okay, see you, New Yorker, here in the studio. Thank you.
So, all that money that you hustled and stole for people, you didn't have anything set up for private counsel, or an attorney or a retainer ready to go, especially when and this is all alleged, right? This is all alleged. We don't, nothing's been tried yet. But usually when, FBI gets involved, and they're pretty solid. They're like, yeah, we're just trying to tally it up to see how much time we're going to throw at you. They're pretty solid. Their track record is pretty incredible. So you probably know that's where you're going, but you got to set some of this money aside. It's Money Mondays, and we didn't say anything about morality when your money. So yeah, if you're going to be scamming people, please set money aside to defend yourself, to lessen your charge, or at least get dirt on someone else to prevent you from going in. That's neither here nor there. That's the idea. That's the idea. But talking about what to do with your money, or how some people tend to amass it, there was a clip. There was a clip where they were talking about how a lot of people in Congress don't make enough money, so they should be allowed to invest their money. A lot of us have questions when you went into the job, when you had a salary that was, modest. Before your net worth was modest. Some people become senators and they're already rich, independently wealthy, and then that only seems to balloon during their time, as senators or as congressmen and women. Don't cancel me.
Well, look, the salary of Congress has been frozen since 2009. When you adjust for inflation, a member of Congress today is making 31% less than they made in that year. It goes down every year. And over time, if you stay on this trajectory, you're going to have less qualified people who are willing to make the extreme sacrifice to run for Congress. I mean, it's just people just make a reasonable decision as a family on whether or not they can come and move to Washington, have a residence here, residence at home, and do all the things that are required. So the counter argument is, and I have some sympathy, look, at least let them engage in some stock trading so that they can continue to take care of their family.
So this goes against normal convention that most people, you're not trading enough stocks to supplement your yearly income. That's not the idea behind it. That you are just so good at picking the stocks that the 8% of your money or the 10% of your money you made that year is going to be enough for you to make up any type of deficit that you might not be getting paid enough. We know that's essentially just cap. That's not how people supplement their income. When stuff is tight, they don't say, okay, let me dump my money into the market, and then that will give me the guaranteed funds I need to take care of my family. So we did a little bit of just quick research, right, with some members of Congress, and how they've also often been criticized about where their wealth came from, or the increase in wealth where they had during their congressional stay. Nancy Pelosi being the first one that comes to the list. She had roughly under $1 million in late 1980s, and some estimate to 700 to 800K. During her time in Congress, it was estimated it was between 130 to 250 million today. Much of the wealth is tied to investments and venture capital activity by her husband, Paul Pelosi. Okay, right? Okay, we can just like, I guess. Rick Scott, already extremely wealthy before entering politics due to a healthcare business, estimated $200 million to $290 million while in Congress. Scott is actually an example, often used to show not all wealthy people, not all the lawmakers become rich through Congress. Right? So that's the counter argument. Rick Scott he's already got money. And there's a few just like that. Mark Warner, multimillionaire before Senate career for telecom, estimated 190 mil, 225. He built that before. Dan Crenshaw, around 800K, right? You guys remember Dan Crenshaw? He has a patch. Dan Crenshaw, 800K before Congress, around 1.3 million after entering Congress. Right? He denied insider trading accusations and attributed increases largely to book income. That's some book, right? There's got to be some book that made you $500,000. Now, I'm not saying that the book deals aren't lucrative, but you establish a dynasty on a book. Ocasio-Cortez, she's still, modestly broke, so that's a point in their favor. Mitch McConnell was middle class, right? Tens of $millions later in Congress. That's hard, right? A substantial portion of the increase is commonly attributed to inheritance connected to his wife, Elaine Chow's family wealth. Okay, right? All fair. Dianne Feinstein, estimated wealth of tens of millions by later Senate years. Mitt Romney was already wealthy. Ro Khanna, moderate professional wealth before Congress, and then she's had significant growth. Kevin McCarthy, multimillionaire later in career. Debbie Weissman Schultz, upper middle class professional wealth before, now several $1 million later. Rich. Richard Burr, moderate before, multi-million and retirement. So it goes on. People have legitimate, got a legitimate gripe, especially when you're trying to say to people all you need to do is kind of invest to offset some of this loss. They should be allowed to do this. What advice investing would you give to a small minority of people who may see the video that are on disability living month to month? The first thing you're going to have to do, always going to have to do, is budget. You've got to look and see what areas that you have the ability. What can you essentially cut out? What can you get rid of? It's not sexy. It's not sexy, but investing right now in this market is going to make sure you need extra, right? You need extra. Once it makes no sense for you to be investing the majority of your money while you cannot hit your actual basic needs. Now, the way we start defining what our basic needs are, that becomes the question. This is what is sort of difficult. There's things that you can simply do away with, some things that you can get away with, some things you can't. Now, we always talk about you're going to need compound interest to make some of this work. What are you investing for? If it's for something that's in the future, not something like, I need money tomorrow. I need money next year. No, we're saying you try to set yourself up, or at least the next generation up. You need something unless you're starting with 200-300K right now, you could put an investment in a market right now. That would see you near $1 million in 5 to 6 years. But outside of that compound interest is tough up front. So basically, it's eliminate as much expenses as you have. Your best income is your income. Get rid of that first and foremost. Get rid of your excessive debt. Let that go. And then ETFs is what we decided, is what we said earlier today. Get you something that mirrors the S&P, like VOO. That's what I like to use. That way you can see, even regardless of how you feel about politics, there's a vested interest that the American economy continues to grow. And if you're investing something that mirrors that, you can kind of rest assured this is going to be the play. People here that know more about Bitcoin deciding to make that play, that's on you. I think you need to have an excess amount of money before you start something as volatile as that. But most of us are not making enough that we can just be frivolous with that type of money, just throw it into a meme coin, a coin, whatever. So I would be investing in things that look like they have the positive upside and things that are too big to fail. United States right now is too big to fail. VOO, QQM, that I'm invested in. Semiconductors, SMH is what I'm invested in. These are ETFs, right? These hold multiple other companies within them. And then I do one to reflect the international fund. So VXUS is what I break those down. And every month I put in money. I've got my budget set up just for that. Boom, boom, boom. So it becomes unsexy, becomes automatic. Hey, you know what you're supposed to do with this money? No, but I want a Porsche. No, absolutely not. No, that's not the stage of your life you're in, right? Where you can do that. You haven't hit the milestones that you're supposed to have in order to do that. Then the other sad part, sometimes either if you can't make that happen on your own, you got to go back and say, where can I reduce my expenses? And it's not sexy, like we said earlier. Sometimes that's living with someone else. Sometimes that's living in a place that's cheaper, but you feel like I should deserve more. I want more. I've worked hard to get here. There's nothing ignoble about saying I've got to reduce my expenses. There's nothing wrong with that. I'd rather cut down a major expense, same like rent. You could half your rent. Some people right now, they say, I'd rather rent a room in order that way I could save money. I've seen more and more advertised people say, you rent this room. And people, yeah, this is the better way to save money, especially if you don't have the ability to now make more money. You can't get another job. For those of you who have skills that lend itself to being remote, more power to you. I'd be one of those people that they eventually have to try and arrest because he had 5 remote jobs. I just need to get away with it 1 or 2 years. That's it. 1 or 2 years I need to get away with it. But if you don't have that skill or the ability, or you can't find a job that lends itself to being remote, you don't have the ability to actually go out and work another job. Yeah, you just have to, the name of the game is reduce your expenses. Reduce your expenses, reduce your expenses. It's not sexy. But anyone out there trying to tell you, just do this, do drop shipping. What? What? No. And you need something that's tried and true, that's going to show you the results, not something that you're hoping people are going to spend more money on while you're seeing all this, recession indicators. If people are not going to the strip clubs are complaining that people are gone. It's a recession indicator. We don't have the extra money to throw at you, ladies of the night. Just in case my mom's watching. So this is it's one of those unsexy things that we have to actually buckle down and do. You got a friend that you can kind of stand? Yeah, maybe you guys need to live together. Maybe you guys, it might be cheaper for you guys to go and split a 2-bedroom than each one of you had a 1-bedroom on their own. Again, not sexy, but probably what might need to happen is if your costs have outpaced your income and there's nothing you can do about the income depending where you are in your life. Investing may be a far thing off if you can't meet those expenses. You got to hit those markers first. There's no use in investing when you're carrying credit card debt of 20%. Market's never going to give you 20% year in after year in, year out. You have some great, phenomenal years. Absolutely. But then the pullback happens. People say, yo, we got to right the ship. We got to right the ship. We were playing games the last couple of years. We were playing games. A lot of these teams got to be last in the market. I hope you're prepared. Hope you're ready to sell some positions, but we got to let the steam out. But when you look at it like that, this is where you find yourself in trouble. You have to look at it over the 10, 20 years. That's got to be the name of the game. Outside of that, you can start looking for other jobs in which it might be able to create an income. People get into content creation. If you already have an income from something else, if you already have a job, and then you do this, like I have a job, real estate, I write all the stuff, and I'm doing YouTube, right? And I'm doing YouTube. Is it lucrative now? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Right? No. I can afford maybe now to buy another lens for a camera that's currently not in use. So it's not really lucrative, but it might be able to pay out if I'm thinking about things in the long term, in 5 years, 6 years. So if it's going to take time, why don't I just start right now? Let me start today. A year ago, I was like, man, it's going to take, if I even start YouTube, it's going to take years to get that started. Well, you better get started. I was like, damn, that's good advice. I know, that's why I said it. So we started it. And here we are, right? Oh, also, apparently for the last month, we were in the top 25% of creators in terms of views for channels this size, 1,000 to 5,000 subscribers. So, that's a yay for everyone. That's an absolute yay for everyone, because I can make the content, but if no one watches it, it's useless at that point. So shout out to you guys for actually making that happen. I just, thank everyone in here. I do a quick victory lap and then immediately get right back to work, right? We get right back to work. But if you guys have questions, right, the email is in every description. You could hit me up, or there's stuff you want to talk about. When we create the call-in shows, we can do that. We can slow things down. We can light the candles. We can have a good time. We can create a specific day where we do that. Just call and show, talk about stuff that's important to you, stuff that matters to you. It doesn't matter if it's not Monday. We can still find a way to talk about Monday. We're fair like that, right? We're fair like that. Or something that you saw that was ridiculous, something you saw on TV, something that you want covered. Or, sometimes people just want to be heard. They've got their own things they want to work through. And sometimes it helps if they want to do that on air. All right. We can have an unlicensed life coach session. Right. If it's good for Cheyenne, charging you guys $750 an hour, all I'm charging you is a like. All I'm charging you is a subscription. That's it. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. I think sound like a good deal. You take that deal? I take that deal. Right, I'll take that deal. Listen, let me work on putting something like that together. If you guys are interested, let me know. Not a session. She said it's a session. Said it's a session. Right? Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? Ridiculous. People paying that money say, yo, I guess if you say it like that, I sat on Dr. Cheyenne Bryan's couch. I don't know. If people want to, get rid of their money, want to part themselves with their money that bad, we could probably find a home for them. Yeah, she said a lot of things. She said a lot of things and then avoid saying a lot of important other things. But yeah, I think that would be an interesting show. Unlicensed life coach, call-in show. Talk about it. I don't think we can get in trouble for doing anything like that. But listen, we'll check it out. We'll look into some of these things. As always, I thank you guys for coming and enjoying the stream with me. Thank you for the likes. Thank you guys for showing up all the time. You regulars, I really appreciate you guys. I'm gonna keep asking you to show up because I think that's fun. I like having back and forth with you guys. This is what makes this thing worthwhile. This is what makes it fun. We don't want it ever to get to the point where it's just $750. No. You missing a couple zeros, guys. A couple zeros. But you got a free session today because it's your birthday, so relax on that. I'll see you guys in the next one.